Welcome to Determined to Succeed. I'm your host, Dawn Mullarney, also known as the Unique Connector. So I'm so excited to have Brent here today to join me. And so I first want to kick it off with, how did you carve out your own path for success, Brent?
Yeah, so I graduated college and totally shifted my career path, having left the restaurant industry and dove into the 9 to 5 business world with an assumption of what that was supposed to look like, what my path was supposed to be. And after taking a year to get my feet wet in that industry, I quickly learned that I had my own journey I wanted to go on, and so. Through many trials and errors and just growth and development, learn to find value and carve out my own path and not ask questions and not look back.
Well, I love that. Ooh, not ask questions and carve out your own path. And this is where too, I love have seen like your growth and seen you really lean into what you love to do and the passions. But this is where I love how you even were talking to of like where you went to college and what you were doing for your degree and how it kind of switched gears. But also too, it's all those things that you learned that no matter what role you're in, you can still use what you've learned. And that's the thing I've learned over time too, of no matter what industry, no matter what role, it's all those little tools in your toolbox. So, let's talk a little bit more about that. What's coming up when I say that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we as a society are trained to here's your degree, here's what's expected of that degree. But we're in an ever-changing environment and careers are changing day to day, if you will. And, identifying your strengths, your weaknesses, and finding a way to enhance your own personal value with yourself and your value within any organization that you're associated with. And just making sure that, at the end of the day that you're enjoying what you're doing.
Mm. And that's where too, for you, I know you help educate or train other employees even too with your role. And that's what's, I think, unique because you do bring a good aspect to it. And so you're teaching others to show up, to be their best selves, but also too, to be a good brand for the company. So talk
Yes.
to me more about that. What are you doing for employee kind of branding?
I think first and foremost, it's, telling all of our new, whether it's me meeting with new associates or the interns that we have, is, informing them or reminding them that at the start of this, you are your own brand. You create what your brand is and what you want it to look like and the value it gives to people. And so, just having them be aware that from the get-go, be mindful of what you're doing, what you're saying, and what you're putting out there in the universe. So just making sure that they understand that, but then understanding the resources that they have to help build and grow. Not everything's going to work, and that's going to be okay, but it's all about how you take those things that don't work and help mold that to successes.
Yeah. Well, I would say, what do you feel was maybe a pivotal moment in even your career or your path to make it even open your eyes a little bit more to stuff that was outside of the textbook or out of the classroom of things?
I think there's a couple of things actually. I think first and foremost, having worked at the company I'm with now, I did that for a year and then left. And then came back after I realized working for a company that's maybe the traditional that's associated with my degree, realizing that that wasn't for me. But now coming back to where I started professionally and, coming to terms with or being okay with, I actually do use it every day, just not in the traditional sense. And that's more fun to me because I'm really carving out those tools I have and using them in my own way and hopefully impacting people in a way that's unique to me and benefits them. But then also, that other pivotal moment is, getting out of your comfort zone, stepping out of the box. I remember it very well. There was an opportunity at my employer where somebody left. I was the person left in the bank that knew the most about that department. And I took a chance and I emailed, our one of our executives and asked for this opportunity to, at least in the interim, can I handle this? That was granted, fortunately, but then keeping in mind, I now have to, I have to do well and I have to produce if I want to, succeed. And so just not being afraid to get out of your comfort zone. And like I tell everybody, the worst someone can tell you is no. And if you don't ever ask, you may never get where you want to go.
Mm. Well, I love that you had, just so much confidence too in yourself and the abilities, and it's still an opportunity to learn and grow. But you thought outside the box and thought this could be ideal for me. And two, I love how you said earlier is you were in a position, you left, realized this is kind of what I went to school for, but really doesn't align with me because I feel like that's the part with school is you don't know until you're out in that real world and experiencing it and or even know really what's that industry like. And so then you kind of went back. And so I love too that there's opportunity for like I feel like some people are not willing to take the risk because they think once I make that decision, I can't go back or I can't evolve or I can't change gears. And so what would you even say to somebody that's maybe listening right now that's maybe even contemplating that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, make sure you leave wherever you're at on good terms. Um, have created enough value that they're sad to see you go, they get it, and they want to welcome you back. So always keep in mind that don't burn those bridges. Um, but take a leap, try it out, come back if it does. If you need to come back, that's fine because you've learned so many things during that break that you can now come back in an even stronger, better place and just provide even more to promote your value, create your value with that company. And, I think probably most of the time those companies are gonna also agree that that time period was good and everybody wins at the end. So just don't be afraid.
Yeah. Well, it gives you a new perspective on things. And I feel like, even through my career and all the things of learning, I saw a lot of people kind of bounce off. And I think we always kind of assume the grass is always greener on the other side. There's something over here that's intriguing, which too, sometimes you got to take that or you'll regret it one day that you never tried something new or you were never seeing what's on the other side. But it also kind of gives you a new perspective, gives you some other ideas, see what's going on over here where you can come back and have more of a better perception or a better work ethic or more ideas to bring to the team. And so I feel like even too for you taking that leap, coming back and seeing this opportunity and leaning into it.
Mhm.
Like, would you have ever done that maybe if you didn't go out and check out the outside world? Or what do you feel like is even the thing that helped boost your confidence for that?
I think trying, and then also, I never want to speak poorly of a past experience, but that experience taught me a lot about what's important to me from an employer, from a supervisor. And it taught me how to, respectfully stand your ground. And so when I came back to where I'm at now, I had a new outlook of what do I expect? The employer expects certain things out of me, but as an employee, I'm allowed to expect some things out of, my supervisors and my company. And so, had I not taken that leap, I probably just would have followed the traditional path. And, it's very likely I wouldn't be where I am today and probably wouldn't be as happy as I am. So, you got to try.
Yeah. Well, I love that you said too the traditional path because I feel like so many of us think going down the traditional path is always what's best because it's like it's going to be less stressful. There's not much risk, but sometimes you kind of need to go outside of that to give you new ideas and to see the more opportunities there are out there. And so, too, I love that your role has evolved. Your role has really changed even time since you've even took it on. But now look at all the people that you're touching and
Mhm.
that you're making a difference. And it's just kind of that spider web where you're kind of spreading out there the goodness or the things that you've learned. So even now too, being from maybe in the mentee role in previous to now being a mentor for other people, how does that feel? Even as I say that out loud.
It is really weird. It's funny you asked because yesterday I had someone come to me for some advice, and it was a very surreal experience to, speak truthfully and to have someone find it valuable. It's a very full circle experience that I often think I don't have enough experience to be giving other people advice. But again, it's constantly evolving and changing, embracing each phase of your professional life. And, you know, someone respects you, someone values your opinion. So always, just love every moment of that. So yeah, for me, it's just been a very fun experience to have, worked hard, um, gotten to a position that I wanted to be in, but now how can I give back to everybody else? What can
Mhm.
I share from my journey and so that others can, I don't want to learn from it or just take that piece of information and say, you know what, just because I'm here and it may not be fun right now, look what he was able to do. So it's just it's a very fun experience to shift roles a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and this is where too, a previous guest that I had on, was talking you into when he got older, he then had to go back to the mentee position and
Mhm.
he had to learn from younger
Mhm.
people. And that's where I feel like too, this is part of the journey. We're always
Yeah.
going to be sometimes putting on different hats. We're going to be taking leaps over here, but we're going to come back over here. And so that's where too, I love what you're honing in on now, because I know even when we previously worked with each other, I was thankful that I learned different tools that maybe not everybody gets those opportunities, or those people that will guide them the right way of how to present themselves, how to be a good brand for the company that you work for, but also have your own kind of personal brand.
Yep.
Um, so that's where I think it's so cool to kind of see you evolving and growing and now teaching other people, because so many companies think of sales process and sales training and this, but it's like almost the soft skills
Mhm.
need to be trained more.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I had the pleasure of working with you, and getting to know you professionally and personally, which has been one of the greatest things my company has given me. But then, yeah, being able to collaborate and to have somebody internally to bounce ideas off, to, look up to, and, soak up those skills that I don't think you even realize you taught me. And so it kind of leads into, whatever your path or job is on paper, what's off that paper that is, gonna create value and help you create your brand, because you'd be surprised that employers want you to have your own brand, especially with the use of social media outlets, specifically LinkedIn. It's that whole brand within a brand concept. And you need to make sure your brand aligns with everything you're doing and is very presentable. And it's one of the most important things you can do, because at the end of the day, you need to take care of you.
Mm. Well, I love that. Well, thank you for the very kind words. And this is the part too where I miss working with a team and seeing people and bouncing ideas and learning and growing together. And that's where, one thing too for me is that I'm passionate about is helping other people show up as their best selves, but also to represent where they're at and
Yes.
represent the company or the purpose or the passion behind the team. And that's where I think it really helped me understand more of my own values, but then also recognize how I could bring my values to the team and to help support each other. And, I feel like, even for networking and soft skills and all those things, it's out of some people's comfort zones, but it's also too something that's so worthwhile, because even to like what we were saying earlier, of sometimes you take a leap, you come back, or vice versa or whatnot. It's all about too the relationships that you build with people,
Mhm.
how important it is and how you don't burn bridges. And I feel like that's even too when you're out, you know, having your own brand or the company's brand, you just don't burn bridges and you build deep relationships. And so when I say that, what is something that you're really honing in on to help those employees learn about relationships and how important it is?
Yeah, we often talk about how you just never know who knows who and who knows what. And so ensuring that your network is always strong, every connection you meet, find value in it. Um, and then when you are meeting with um, people, again, always making sure that first the conversation benefits both parties. You don't want to waste your time, and you certainly don't want to waste your guest's time. But making sure that person you're talking to knows that you are the most important person in the room to them at that moment, and really focusing on them. We are such a me society that one way I've hopefully found value or created value for those people I meet with is I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about you and how I can help you, because then selfishly on the backside is I hope that good nature comes back to me. But really, I do it because I care. If I introduce you to one person and there's something that comes of it, then I have fulfilled my desire for that day, and I know that I've done good for somebody else. And that's hopefully also how I've set myself apart from others that people meet with. And networking isn't just going to the traditional cocktail hour, bunch of strangers in a room with your name tags. It's
Mhm.
your coffee meetings, it's your lunch meetings, it's conversations like this. And so the other thing that I often tell my mentees is find a different way, find a unique way that you're comfortable networking in. I thrive off the coffee and lunch meetings, partially because I might be addicted to coffee, but partly because that's where I'm the most comfortable. I can be my
Yep.
true, genuine self. And then lastly, I always tell them find a unique question to ask the person that you're meeting with. We need to get away from the standard, who do you work for? What do you do? Find something to ask everybody that is different, that will set you apart, that they'll remember your question. And hopefully that it works for me. I hope it works for other people, but that's really my focus of what the conversations I'm having.
Well, it makes me happy. And this is right too. I think you and I have always aligned very well because we both have the very same mentality and we care and we have the empathy for people. And that's where it's like everybody assumes I love going into those big rooms and networking. It's like, oh, that is really uncomfortable for me. I don't like going into those spaces, but I love the one-on-ones. And similar to you too, of like, I love being a resource. I love seeing how I can help. And that is what fills my cup up.
Mhm.
And that's where some people need to have that better mentality of that, where it's not, I'm not coming with, this is my sales pitch and this is the things I'm going to make sure I talk about. It's like, no, you got to meet people where they're at. And you have no idea what opportunities there could be
Mhm.
by just getting to build a relationship with somebody. And I feel like for you and I and our roles, or my past role even too, is just money is a conversation. You have no idea what wealth is or how much
Yeah,
money they have. And that's a hard conversation, but it has nothing to do with what type of person they are. And that's where it just, we need to go back to the human and building the deep relationship and not worrying about all this other exterior things or the sale or the profitability, all these things, because building a deep relationship, you're going to be remembered and you're going to be
absolutely.
thought of.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. And aside from the mentoring I do for people in my role, I've been able to have success because I don't look at myself as a salesperson. I'm a
Mhm.
consultant. I can tell you what I can offer you, product and service wise. From there, you've got to tell me, what questions do you have? What are you needing in your lifestyle? And from there, I will just continue to tell you what I can do. But I'll also be the first one to tell you, hey, if other organization is offering you a different service that is a better fit for you, by all means, I support you doing that because at the end of the day, I want you to be a happy consumer. I don't want you saying, well, he sold me this product that doesn't satisfy my need, and there's angst with it. Just at the end of
Yeah.
the day, be a human, be an honest human, and you will be surprised at how it comes back to you.
Yeah. It's kind of that boomerang effect. And that's where I feel like we don't want someone to regret the purchase that they made, or two, if it's not the right fit, why would you even sell it to them? And so I have always loved that with you. And that's where too, I think we've always just had that connection and that
Mhm.
relationship. And so even to, what is something that do you feel, even, schooling, whatnot, all these things, like what is something that helped you ingrain those values and that relationships are so important? Is there some kind of family? Is there something in the past that you feel has really been the pivotal moment for you to realize? Or just maybe it's always been in you, but is there some pivotal moment? Do you even feel like?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was my upbringing. That was just always instilled in us, but also with, we moved around a lot growing up as a child. And so, staying in touch with people and then I think probably a pivotal moment was, I turned 18. I wasn't living in the same town as my family anymore. I haven't since I was 18. So we're talking, 20 years now. Everybody knows how old I am. But, my relationships around me were the people that I needed on a day-to-day basis. And so always putting effort into that. You're going to have people that come and go. That's always going to be the case, but the true ones you will always know. And so I think between the upbringing and then just kind of life happening, I've just learned that relationships are what are important to me. It's how my clock keeps ticking. And again, it goes back to that. I really just want everybody else to be happy and to be fulfilled. And so putting effort into those relationships is, something that also fuels me. And so just keeping that in mind and kind of just keeping yourself humble and know that every person that is of meaning in your life is part of your journey and your story. And so you need to give them the time that they deserve.
Mm. Well, that was a wonderful way to end the podcast, Brent. Oh, that was very amazing words. And you summed it up so well and eloquently. And this is why I'm so thankful, even though we don't see each other all the time anymore, but I'm still very thankful that I'm connected with you. I've learned a ton from you. And I'm so proud of you to see you shine and make a difference on so many more people than just even yourself or your department. Like, look how many people you're impacting. So I'm so proud of you. Keep going.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've got to give you credit where credit's due. I've learned a lot from you, and everything you said right back at you. It's so great to see you, taking this jump and doing you. I love it for you. I know we've had many conversations about this over the years, so it's just a really nice time to see you where you're at right now. And I'm very excited for you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and being
Oh,
on
it's
the
my
show.
pleasure. Thanks for letting me be on your podcast and doing my first podcast.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did it. Thank you.
Me too.